four, one, two, three, one, two, three, four, plus me is five. So yes, we have a quorum. Thank you very much. So yeah.
I just want to bring your attention to the fact that I only a little while ago sent you another email with an updated policy that when it comes time, if you could screen share that, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I got that, but when we come down, we'll.
I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, so I call this meeting of the Policy Committee, Standing Committee of the Cambria Community Services District. Now call this to order. Present are members Key, Harmon, Heinrichs, and Scott, yes. So welcome to everybody. And it's nice to see you all here today and this morning. Let us commence with the President's report here, which is very short, or Chairman's report, I guess. Excuse me. First of all, to welcome our new member, Deborah Scott. Thank you so much, Deborah, for joining us. I think you'll find this is an interesting, it's actually, I find it sort of enjoyable, you know. So in order, because perhaps we're not all known to you, I'd ask everybody to kind of go around, introduce ourselves, and give you and say something about our background. So, and I'll start, and just briefly, I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't have to say anything personal or anything. But so yeah, my name's Don Howell, and presently a board director on the board. I was part-time in Cambria from 1997 and full-time from 2005. My education is as an ethnomusicologist. By inclination, I'm a musician, and my actual what put bread on the table and all that was I was in information, IT, information technology for about 20 or more years at the University of California at Santa Barbara. So that's kind of where I am on all that. I still play music. I'm an aficionado of Indonesian music. So I go periodically, there's a group in Morro Bay I rehearse with when the pandemic is not happening. And also go down to UCSB about 3 times a year to participate in performances. So that's the short. So yes, so anyone want to volunteer to go next here?
I'm vice chair.
Okay, vice chair, you're a good one to start. Yes, yes, Gordon.
Gordon Heinrichs, and I've been related to Cambria since 1970s roughly, but living here full time in the last 15 years. So raised in California more or less, but out of the Wasco, Bakersfield area. And I've been involved now with the policy for 3 years or so now. And trying to being related to the environmental aspects of Cambria's policies to see how we move forward and work with trying to help the board make good decisions on the direction for the good of Cambria. So that's more or less of what my background is. Agricultural is raised, but now as an electrical engineer, mechanical and pump sales part-time now, working remotely.
Thank you, Gordon. Let's see, how about Ted?
Hi, sorry about my phone.
I thought.
Hey, I got rid of that. Yes, Ted Key, my wife and I moved here about 6 years ago. We live down in Park Hill, where I am the alternate NCAC rep, as well as obviously being part of this Augusta committee. I was a high school teacher for 30 years. My last 25 I spent at Notre Dame High School in San Jose, teaching some of the brightest young women in California. It was an all-girl situation, and we were blessed with many just absolutely incredible young women, and I won't go in. I can certainly go into explanation of many of them at any time, but it was a privilege to work there. Even though I didn't get paid much, and I worked 7 days a week. Anyway, I taught visual art, and I am currently sitting in my studio space, which we added on to the side of our house when we completely rebuilt our house here in Cambria, just like many. Yes, I am looking forward and have been looking forward to improving the flow of policy for the board and operating at the pleasure of the board to assist them with their monumental task. And like Gordon, I'm a very environmentally oriented person. I rescue sea mammals for the Marine Mammal Center. Well, I've been doing that for years now. So I go out and wrangle 6 sea lions and otters and elephant seals and the like. And I've recently designed a capture transfer box, especially for otters, which has gained some a bit of traction with a number of the different agencies around. So anyway, I try and keep myself out of trouble and off the streets.
Yeah.
And here I am. Nice.
Oh, thank you, Ted. And Claudia, let's see when you're back here. Yeah. So yes, could you tell us a little about yourself, Claudia?
Well, I've been here the longest of anyone. I've been here 35 years. I've been the chair of North Coast Advisory Council 3 or 4 times. I'm president of Beautify Cambria. I'm also on the Dark Sky Committee. Obviously, Beautify Cambria is not an environmental group, although we're trying to keep our town clean. I suppose that makes us environmental. And Dark Skies is not a political group. It's a group trying to turn our town into what they call an international dark sky community. We've been working on it for a long time. We've had a lot of dark sky events. And what else? I'm a ballet dancer and I'm a former teacher at Cuesta College. I'm a professional interior designer and I taught interior design at Cuesta and I ran the department for 10 of the 15 years I was there. I have 2 big giant ragdoll kitties. Okay. One son is getting married next year at 42. So first time. So, okay, that's personal stuff. But it's exciting for me when you got a kid that's that old. Only probably getting married. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Claudia. Yeah, Deborah, please.
So the reason that I was really interested in a policy committee was because I worked for the Nevada State Board of Nursing for 25 years. No, 20 years. And was the executive director there. And we regulated the largest number of licensees in Nevada, nurses and CNAs and advanced practice nurses. So I was instrumental in getting full practice authority for advanced practice nurses. And I really loved the law. So I thought, well, I think this is a good fit. My husband and I have lived full-time in Cambria for about 1.5 years. We first bought in 2017, so we were half-time here, and then we both retired, and now we're here full-time. And one of the main reasons we came was because my brother and his wife have lived here since 2016, and we wanted to come be with them. And we have 4 children. My husband and I have 4 children among us. My oldest oldest child is 49, and my youngest child is 35. I have 6 grandkids, which are the joy of my life. There. So anyway, thank you so much for introducing yourselves, and I really am excited to be here to join you.
Well, thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
And just the other face you see on here, Deborah, this is Osana Tertarian. She is our board secretary.
Yes.
And the general manager, John Weigold, is this other square here. That.
Okay.
So thank you. Excuse me for the frog there. So Claudia tells me that Claudia, is the case you have to leave at 11:50. Is that correct?
Yes, I have to go into town for an appointment.
Okay, so we want, anybody else need to leave? It's just, okay.
I also have a doctor's appointment this afternoon, but I'm sure we'll be done by then, by 11.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope we're not here for.
So we'll make a point here of closing up here at 11:50 so that Claudia can make her.
That's more than enough time for me to get to my appointment.
Oh, good. Okay. Just want to be sure on that. And also a reminder to all of you, because we're already in December, but this is in fact the November meeting. So there is another meeting at, I think it's the 30th.
30th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I just wanted to remind you of all of that. Let me see. In today's agenda, we have some that's kind of interesting. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. We only have 3 items, but they're all good items and important. Briefly mentioned that, we had discussed the surveillance camera issue, and right now I've got that on the December 16th board meeting. We'll see if it stays on it. If the agenda fills up too much, I might push that off, but right now that's, and basically it was simply a report to the board saying that the committee feels that a surveillance policy is important and that the district should have one. And of course, the policy committee offers to craft one if the board should so choose. So anyway, thank you all. One thing that's become really apparent, we have a tremendous amount of experience here amongst all of us. And it's actually kind of a little bit mind-boggling almost when you think about the vastness of and the breadth of the experience of all of us. So I think it's always a good opportunity. And a reminder to everybody that it's not important that you think alike. Disagreement is actually a good thing. So just keep that in mind also. Oh yeah, Claude, did I hear a voice?
But you're not encouraging us to fight with each other.
Oh, no. Well, no, I'm encouraging you to argue with each other though, but polite, be polite. The point being that it's like anything, truth is hard to come by under any circumstance. And there's so many different ways of reading a situation. And the older I get, the more that apparent that becomes to me. So there are just no easy answers in this world, except perhaps that one. So the other thing I need to let you guys know is we've worked very well this last year. It may seem a little frustrating, but when you actually look at what was been accomplished, there's a fair amount of work that's come out of this committee, and so it's important to remember that because it can be frustrating at times. Excuse me, this frog is really persistent. Hang on a minute. So the other thing, though, I need to let you know is that there is a very good chance that I will become board president tomorrow. And if that occurs, I won't really be able to maintain my chairmanship of the policy committee for 2 reasons. One, it's become, just as vice president, it's become very clear to me that the job of board president is pretty much about all that person can do if they're going to do a good job. And then the other thing, though, which is also, to my mind, equally important, is that the board president has a tremendous amount of power anyway, due to the control over the agendas. So I think it's to have the board president also be chairman of the policy committee. To me, that's just a little too much, too much control over, on one person. So for those reasons, so just wanted to alert you to that if that happens. So this would be my fond farewell to you if that should occur. If it doesn't occur and then we're together again, that will also be a good thing as well. So having said that, yes, Claudia.
Just a quick question, 2 questions. One, so you would actually become president in December?
Yes, at that tomorrow.
Oh, you actually would be tomorrow. Oh, and you would take office tomorrow. Ah,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
And then the other question is, who would take over the policy committee?
That we don't know.
Ah, okay.
That will be sort of worked out tomorrow to see how that, there's often whenever just a second, Ted, every time the year turns, there's always some readjustment of responsibilities. Yeah, Ted, go ahead.
Well, I just think that, should we get, a new person, obviously there's going to be a realignment of responsibilities. And it might be interesting, say, for example, if Karen wanted to do something other than R&I, or I don't know, or who knows, maybe Cindy will step in to your position. I don't know, but rotating the directors around the various committees might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's sort of my thought too on that. And anyway, I just wanted to let you know so that so that you don't feel blindsided if this should occur. So, but also to remind you that you've been doing good work. So I want you to keep that in mind as you go forward on that. So having said that, I think we can get right down to business. Well, is there any further comment just on any of the points that I've raised? Anything here? Okay, I'm checking a minute. I need to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think we have. There's nobody in the audience yet, as far as I can tell. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's nobody in the audience yet.
There is one person.
Oh, there is. Why am I not seeing him here? Hold on.
Because you have to click on the attendees button on the right.
There it is. There it is. Thank you, Osana. Yeah, Michael Calderwood, our fondest critic. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. We really value your input in this. So moving right along then. Yes, Claudia.
He doesn't appear. I see 8P, and I don't see his name on here.
Oh, here's what you do. This is something you should all know when you're a participant in a webinar like this. If you go down to the lower part of your screen where it says participants.
I got it. You have to do it on attendee.
Yeah.
An attendee. I got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I usually keep the attendee one up so that I can watch. Well, when we go to public comment, I usually bring that up so I can see the hands that are raised. Okay. And then when I'm coming back to in this case, the committee, I switch over to panelists, and then I can see not only on your screen here, but also on the little sidebar, I can see your hands being raised as well. But anyway, I did want you all to be aware of that you can view who all is attending our meetings. And this, should you ever decide to be on the board and participate in one of these webinars, you can find that very useful, because I always look to see like if there's 20 people out there and who wants to talk. It's very interesting. Anyway, so yeah, so we have a total of 8. That's 7 of us and 1 member of the public presently. So any other further before we move onwards? How about any special communications from you guys, the committee members? Do you have anything just as an announcement or anything of that nature? Remember, these meetings are also can be viewed later by others. So if you wanted to make an announcement to the community, this would be the time to do it. Okay, seeing none. Moving right along, then let's go to, I'll call for public comment on, because this is a special meeting, the public comment can actually only be on agenda items, not on non-agenda items. So actually, I would prefer to take comment as the items come up. However, if there's anyone in the public that has a general comment, now would be the time. No, Sana, I think all of the written comments are related to specific items, what I've seen so far. So I think we'll, yeah. So what we'll do is as we get to the specific items, we'll call for public comment again and go from there. And as I said, I think we do have some written comment that I've seen come in so far. So the first item of business is the consent agenda, which is to approve the October 28th minutes. So do we have any discussion? Oh, yes, Claudia.
There's just a couple of typos. Do you want to fix them or does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's call them out. Let's see what's.
Under where it says SR2AB community report was derived, and it says Cherry Howell or Cherry Howell. I think you meant to say chair, but it's okay.
Okay.
And then the next one is further down, down. Towards the bottom of this thing. Where is it? Oop. I had it highlighted. It's disappeared now. It was another typo.
There's that one. Okay. I found the one.
Here it is. It's under proposed policy number 1040.2. And it's the last line, and it says sent to the entire board of directors. It's misspelled.
Where are we now? What page are we on? Let's see. We're still in the minutes, right?
Yeah, I think so. It says policy standing committee report to the board, and it has date and it has a blank line. And right below that, it says proposed policy number 1040 dot 2, period 2, whatever, point 2.
Oh, yeah, that's not part of the minutes though, is it?
Oh,
That's part of the material for the next.
oh, that's an agenda item, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that could be fixed too.
Okay, but so at least as far as the minutes go, we've got the one typo, which we can correct.
I couldn't
Everybody else-
download this as a PDF, and so I copied and pasted it, and so it's
Oh.
all wonky, so I can't, never
Oh.
mind. Hear about
Oh,
my.
dear. Oh, that reminds me, Claudia, that reminds me, just so you're all aware, if you want printed copies of your agenda, of the agendas as we go forward, they've stopped doing it at the fire department, is where you used to be able to pick them up. But now you pick them up at the district office. And what you do is you go, do you all know where the district office is? Yeah. So if you go around sort of the back, around to the back of the building, or what we would call the front, which is the part that's facing the pickleball courts and all the other stuff across the street. You go around that way, there's a back entrance to the office, and there's a plastic bin outside that door, which will have the printed agendas in it, so that you don't need to cut and paste. If you happen to be out at the cookie crock doing your grocery shopping, you could always zip by and get that. Yeah.
Real quick question. I've never been back there. So do you go past the office door and around, or do you go around before you get to the office door?
I would go around before I get to the office
Before you
door.
get to the office door? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could get back there, so.
Yeah, well, if you're parked in the parking lot, kind of where the district cars are down there, and you walk around, and there's kind of an areaway between the two buildings, and you kind of walk through that. Looks like the building's going to collapse. Anyway, you go there and then around that. So in other words, don't go to the front door, but before you get to the front door, turn left and go around the building.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that you mentioned that, because I'm not sure, folks. It took me a while to figure out what had happened when they. Okay. Any other corrections to the minutes? Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, did you get the one on Chairman Hall?
Yeah, Cherry Hall, I got that one.
Good Cherry Hall, okay. Yeah, I think the rest of it looks pretty good to me. In reviewing it, I really like what we've got here as the potential agendas and what we've discussed about where we should be going with here. And I do hope that the next individual who takes over the chair position will take those suggestions very close to heart, so that I really want to get this policy handbook out of the way and chop it down from front to back. I just feel like we've been sort of splintered in some of our efforts, and I would really like to get back to, as a teacher, I love closure.
Yes.
As a teacher, you get to close the year every June and reopen it. There's a sense of closure there that has come inculcated in me over the years. So anyway, that's that.
A good point there, Ted. Yeah. So when and if we do a handoff, I'll make sure to kind of point out some of this stuff to the, what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but as far as the content of the minutes, we're good then, except for the typo. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is to approve the minutes? Moved by Ted Key. Second. Anybody want to second that? Don't all speak at once. All right, I'll second it. Oh, there's Gordon seconds. That's better. Okay, moved and seconded. Moved by Ted Key, seconded by Gordon Heinrich to approve the minutes as corrected. So we'll make that correction, make sure that gets in there. All right, moving right along then. Oh yeah, Claudia.
And since I can't find it right now, but because this goes into public record, I can't find, but there was something in here that maybe I did find it. Well, I guess I didn't find it. There was something in here that was kind of snarky, and maybe it was a snarky remark by me, but I didn't think it was appropriate to put it in here,
Oh, okay.
In here, I just think that, I don't think it belongs in our minutes, because the minutes they're really only supposed to have what we decide on, this is the issue, these, this is the motion, who made the motion, this is the second, this is what the vote was, and, but I read that and I went, maybe I did say that, but I guess I just didn't want it in print, so.
Oh, well, maybe we need to, we shouldn't approve what you don't like. So let's go back to that.
I won't approve it. I'm not going to.
Let's go back. Now, could you point out what that is? And then maybe we can.
I was doing a word search here and.
It's on page SR2A. Member Harmon stated that as a result of board ad hoc subcommittees work, the committee should be disbanded for a while as we don't have anything to do.
Where is that? Oh, is that
R2A.
Oh, it's
SR2A.
2A. Oh, here we are. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to find the spot. Okay, so you want me to strike that paragraph?
Well, I think that would be, I think that would be nice.
Okay.
We don't have anything to do. It's true, but I don't think it belongs in here.
Well, that's, yeah. Okay, that's
Thanks.
cool. It's up to, So is there any objection to excluding that from the rest of you? Okay, seeing none. All right, so we'll strike that. Anybody else? We'll try again to approve the minutes. This is okay, one more time. Just make sure that you got what because Claudia is right. This is public record. You don't want this coming back to haunt you later. So if something has been misstated or it is true, they're really only supposed to be action minutes. But since we had so little action, I decided that I would try to record the high points of the discussion. But that's always a dangerous thing because you can always misstate what someone says or if it doesn't have the right context. So are we good now? Is everybody comfortable? 100% comfortable? Yes, we want 100%. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to go ahead with that. Yeah, Ted.
Making the motion.
Okay, so Ted has moved that the minutes be approved as corrected with the stricken paragraph taken out. Is there a second? Gordon, you want to go ahead? Seconded by Gordon. So any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none. Okay, so because this is a webinar and people cannot actually see you vote, even though we could do it with a raise of hands, I think it's important that I actually call the roll. So I'll go ahead and do that. So Ted, how do you vote? Ted votes aye. Gordon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Gordon votes aye. Let's see, Claudia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Claudia votes aye. And Deborah, how do you vote?
I abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay, Deborah abstains. So motion passes 3-0, 1 abstention. Very good. Thank you all. So that's, oh, yes, Osana.
Which paragraph did you want to take out?
Oh, okay. It's on page 6 of the packet. And it's the paragraph, the first complete paragraph down the page where it says member Harmon stated.
Member Harmon stated, yes.
Yeah, it's that paragraph that we want to eliminate.
Okay, remove,
You
okay.
can leave the key part in there.
Hmm?
I didn't ask to have the key statement eliminated.
No, just your statement.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's not the whole paragraph.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, it's just the member Harmon. I'll read the part that's just so that there's no misunderstanding. It's the part that's coming out. Member Harmon stated that, and then this is in brackets, as a result of the board ad hoc subcommittee's work, close the brackets, the committee should be disbanded for a while as we don't have anything to do. That's the part that we want to take out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Osana. And then the typo is on the next page at the very
saw it.
top.
Yeah.
You found that one, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, actually, even though I'm not supposed to, I will go ahead because there are only 4 of you. I will go ahead and act as secretary, even though it's expressly forbidden in the bylaws. So, because I'd rather have you guys have all of your attention focused on the on the problem at hand. Excuse me.
Is there some reason why Osana can't take the notes?
Yeah, because it's not a board meeting, so it's her function is different. Technically, I mean, if we were meeting in person, Claudia, if we were meeting in person, what happened is the board secretary would simply bring the printed material to the meeting venue and leave a recorder with us, and then leave. So, but in this case, because we need her to do the host functions of the meeting. So yeah, so the protocol is just a little different. Yes, go ahead, Gordon.
Previous change of officers, the newly elected person was offered to be the secretary.
Well, that was because nobody else, when Steve joined and nobody else would take the job, he went ahead and took it. So it's not a requirement that the new person be secretary, but I figured it would be better to wait and choose a secretary at your next meeting, you know, at that time rather than, and also just because since we have if we weren't having these recordings, it would be a different problem. But since it is possible for me to listen to the recording or watch the recording and then take the appropriate notes. Otherwise, I would not try to be secretary and conduct the meeting at the same time. It would be too challenging. Yeah, Gordon.
Do we have another person nominated yet for?
No, we do not. Thank you for that, because that's a reminder to me that we still need to be recruiting for another person. So I will bring that up, and I forget when I make that particular report, but I'll definitely bring that up. So,
Is there a date extension then, or?
Well, what it is the only requirement is that we have to advertise for a period of time, but there's no requirement as to how long we must, in other words, if we don't get enough folks or we want a broader, there's nothing in the bylaws that says that we can't continue to advertise. It's just that it's stated as a minimum. So in other words, we probably should have gone ahead and kept advertising, you know, to try.
That's fine. I was just seeing how much time you got to talk somebody into doing this is all. A week or 2 weeks or?
Well, what, 3, I guess, at this point. I don't know. I don't know if you'd get your new member at the next meeting, but hey, if you know anybody that you think, you know, you might be a good person to add, if you could talk them into it.
Hey, Michael Calderwood, are you listening?
I've tried that. It doesn't work.
Right.
That's
That's what I was suggesting. I may have one person.
oh, good. Okay.
Talked with them over Thanksgiving, and they didn't say no, but they didn't say yes. But then I didn't know if we had selected that person yet. So that's where I was sort of hung up.
Yeah, no, the position's still open, and I'm just making myself a note to continue to advertise. Thank you for that. Yeah, because we do need. But anyway, as I said, if anybody knows anybody, it's especially somebody that maybe that you respect but you disagree with, that would be ideal. Okay, moving right along then. So we're clear about the minutes with the one deletion, and I think, and you've all approved that. So okay, we can move forward. So moving on to the next item of business, which is this is the discussion and consideration of policy 1040.2 regarding responding to correspondence to the board. So this is an interesting one.
Very.
And actually, this is a possible, there's so many different paths that policies can take as they come into existence and go through the various processes. And this is an example of a path that I happen to like, and I'd be very happy. I hope that it continues, which is it's where you have an iteration going on here. What we did was we composed a policy and a report to go with it. And then that was presented to the board at its November 18th meeting. They reviewed the policy, found some issues with it. And once those issues were brought up, it became apparent to me that they were indeed issues. There was no substantial objection to the thrust of the policy. But as they were reading through it, they could see areas where there were contradictions or where it wasn't terribly clear. Where issues about, I'll be a little more specific, but just in general. So what happened was, it was a relatively brief but productive discussion where board members reviewed the policy and found, and looked at it, and eventually, because of they felt areas where it was self-contradictory or unclear, and some certain questions weren't really clearly dealt with, that they felt that it needed to go back for review to the policy committee. So they, by motion, sent it back to us for further review. And let's forget what the terminology they used. I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, here. The motion was to direct this policy back to the policy committee for further review and consideration. And that was a 5-0 vote. So that's why it's back on our plate today. But this is actually a good thing, because this is a policy that this isn't something that somebody else, this isn't policy from staff that we simply critiqued. This is policy that we actually crafted ourselves. And I think it's very useful to take it as an iterative process where we come up with something, you send it to the board reviews it, finds things that they're not quite understanding or they feel some changes, goes back to the committee, gets further massage, further work, back to the board. And this process could go on more than once. To me, that's very productive, because there's no way of knowing, especially when it's originating with the policy committee like this, there's no way of knowing exactly until you bring it before the board. There's no way of knowing how they're going to react. So this is we've got their reaction now, and now we get to respond to it. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll go over there were very brief but very to the point concerns that the board members had, and then ask for your direction on how you wish to proceed with this. So, all right, let's see. One area where there was some difficulty was in now, do you all have this in front of you now?
Yep.
Okay. The 1040.2.2.1 and the timely acknowledgement, that seemed to cause some confusion, and there seemed to contradict some things that were happening further later on down in the policy. An example is, if all correspondence should be acknowledged within 2 business days of receipt, but then we say down below, correspondence addressed to the if correspondence is addressed to all directors, each one individually, in other words, it's to the board as a whole, it raises this problem because if all copies should be acknowledged, and yet we turn around and say, but only the president may answer, it causes, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. So that was one problem.
Okay.
One solution to that, it was suggested that, and I don't know that it really solves the problem, but council suggested that the wording could be receipt of all correspondence should be acknowledged. That would help a little bit. But there's some other issues there, and I'm kind of wondering about that because it seems to, depending on, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that as people are trying to read this policy and interpret it in order to use it or as it should inform their actions, then it needs to be clear and it needs to not have these contradictions or other things in it. So that's one area which caused sort of a little bit of confusion or not lack of clarity. Another one is the issue of on 1040.2.3, where it says this first sentence, the section refers to correspondence addressed to the board as a whole or to all directors each individually. The question was, it was suggested that often you can't really tell. More often than not, you may not be able to tell whether a correspondence has been addressed to each director individually. It's only by accident, in other words, that you might know that. So there was a little bit of a problem on that. And then on our last one, and 1040.2.4.2, there is this whole problem, and I don't know how to address it or which was raised, is that if a board member responds to correspondence from the public, then that member of the public may then forward that response to all the other board members. And that has happened. And that actually amounts to a Brown Act violation. So there is some problem still with this policy. In other words, it may well be that I don't know. I just present these to you, and then there's a couple of ways to proceed on this. Yeah, Ted, go ahead.
Well, I think, you've got a little laundry list here, and I think we should probably approach them, from the top. Your first one had to do with 1042.2.1 timely acknowledgement. Unless I'm mistaken, the acknowledgement was in fact, an acknowledgement of receipt. So I think that can just be, rewritten to say all correspondence shall be acknowledged as received within 2 business days. The next one was, I'm trying to remember what it was. What was the next one on the list? The conflict between individual directors and a director on an individual basis, I guess. Yeah, okay, so it says here, no individual director may respond except as directed by the board president. And then down below here, it's individual directors shall clearly indicate that they are representing only themselves and are not speaking for the board as a whole. That the solution to that problem is that while not necessarily indicating the entire board member's response, but that the rest of the board is notified that as an individual director, I responded to that, and if you would like to, get into that without a Brown Act violation, then we can confer with this on a one-on-one or 1-2 basis or whatever. But I do understand the conflict there, but I think that's easily solved by just basically allowing the individual board member to let the others know that of this letter, you know, you responded to it without, I don't know that it's true or not, but you know, that without going into detail on the letter that you as an individual director responded to that. So perhaps that's a solution to that conflict. What was the other one?
Okay.
Well, should we just go one by one? Let's go one.
Okay, let's say, I say Deborah had her hand and then Claudia.
Yeah, let's go one by one.
Okay, so in my previous position, I was in John Weigold's position. And so my suggestions are going to be just basic kind of stuff. So the first thing that I would say is on 1040.2.2.1, you better say who's going to respond. All correspondence should be acknowledged by whom within 2 business days of receipt. And this is what I had always told my board members: do not respond to anything. Tell me first. So my recommendation would be that it's the director or whatever his position is, that he sends a letter that's a form letter that says basically, and I have wording here, thank you for your correspondence. I have forwarded your email or letter to the director today or on a certain date for a response. Your input question is greatly appreciated. And then the director orchestrates through the president how to respond. You know, so I get, let's say I'm a board member and I get an email, then I can send this very quick form. Thank you for your correspondence. I've given it to the director, and then it goes from there. And the director is the one then that coordinates the response. And so you can respond immediately. I've gotten something, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing under where it's, you know, there's a comment here that says yes. And I just think you need to ask council about 1040.2.3.3 if you send a copy of the response to all the directors, I think that might be a violation of the Brown Act.
Oh, that was, yeah, thank you for that, yeah, Deborah. That little comment was from council, because that didn't see all the red lines that goes with, but there was a question about whether that would be he said it was okay actually to do that.
Okay, well, that's good.
I kind of wondered myself, because to me, it looks like a Brown Act violation.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seemed to say, of course, this is whatever we do would go back through him another time, just to be sure.
I just think if you have any board member put in writing anything in response to correspondence, you're gonna have trouble. So it should be the executive director or the director. It should be that person who then puts together how we're going to respond through the president.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah, the in the context of CCSD, that would be the general manager, John Weigel.
Yes, general manager.
Okay, good, interesting. Claudia, excuse me. Go ahead, Claudia. You need to unmute.
Forgot. One of the things that I think that would really be helpful, and I think that we should put a note, not we, the CCSD should put a notice in everyone's bill, electronic or paper bill. And so that, I know she's bugging me. So, and I think that what we need to say is that if you want to write to an individual director, you should write to their personal email. If you want them just to answer it, then it's just between you and that particular director. Like I can send something to Dawn and that it's not going to the entire board. And I think that needs to be real clear so that all of the directors CCSD emails would be there, and all of their personal emails would be there. Why not? You're a public figure, so your email should be there, whatever one you want to use for the public. I think that would help a lot, because if I sent something to a board member and I wanted that board member to answer me, but only John Weigold answered me, I wouldn't get the answer I wanted. I would get John Weigold's answer. And maybe I'm sending something to Harry Farmer about something environmental, and he's really up on environmental issues. I would not get an environmental answer that I was hoping for from Weigold, from Mr. Weigold. So I think that, I don't think he has all the answers. I think that's dangerous to have him answering everything. The other thing is that I think that the only issue that I really have with correspondence, and I say this over and over and over again, because I worked on this particular thing, is that when people do send emails to an individual, nobody knows when that happens. And it's only the integrity or the fiduciary, maybe the fiduciary responsibility of the director to let anybody know that they got correspondence. And maybe somebody sent correspondence to one director and they meant for other directors to respond to it as well. And so maybe the other thing that could be in that letter to the public is that if you send something to one director, put the names of the other directors on there too. And you can send it to one director, but if you put the names of the other directors on the correspondence, then they need to be notified that there was this correspondence. And there's no way for that person, the director, to receive something and not let people know, because the biggest problem is that people don't get a response at all. And I know Don's even, I remember Don even admitting one day, oh, I didn't respond to that, you think it's frivolous or whatever the reason is, or you missed it or something happens. So I think that, it helps to make that director more responsible to know that other people know that there's been correspondence. And not that the other people need to answer, but I just think that is one way to make sure that one person answers. Because when you get correspondence to the entire board, there is no problem with any correspondence that goes to the entire board, be it letters or email, because everybody knows, it's the time when one person gets, and so and isn't that often, we said once a month, or maybe not even that often, a director would get a piece of mail just directed to them particularly. And so therefore it would one way to do that. You can't make people be honest or responsive, or you can't policy it, you can't legislate it. So the only way to do it is to make some kind of a way that the public knows how they should address the board, and that they know that maybe that they should put the names of the other board members on there, even though they're directed to one person. So anyway, that is my suggestion, and y'all can rip it apart. Okay.
Okay. First Deborah, and then Ted.
I didn't say that John Weigold would respond. What I said was he would coordinate the response with the president and that specific board member or whatever. I just don't think you want one board member. I mean, even if the board member says, I'm saying this only for myself, people are going to run with what that board member said. And if it's in writing, it's really going to be something that is going to be, this is the board stance, but it's not. And so I'm not saying that John would respond. I'm saying that he would coordinate the effort to respond with the president and that specific board member, or however. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Ted.
Yeah, that was my interpretation, I think, of what you said, that the director, that the general manager wouldn't necessarily be the responding person, other than that the general manager has coordinated the response to appropriate individuals. And the other thing is, I agree, and I think we discussed this, that we intended to get a message to the public regarding the issue of correspondence. It could be an insert into a bill, or even printed on the bill itself, outlining what we're doing here to streamline this whole process. so that the public would understand that. And of course, it could also be posted on the website. What the new process is for making sure that your issues are attended to in a timely and responsive manner. So yeah, no, I think that we agreed that was something that needed to happen. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ted. I think one of you mentioned something that brought to mind that one other aspect of this that was brought out during the board discussion, and it had to do with the issue of enforcement, because in many cases there really is no way to actually enforce some of this stuff.
Right.
And so, I made a note here to myself as I was listening to that in the preamble there, the purpose, the first paragraph where it says, as such, it provides guidance. I think probably that paragraph should probably be written to emphasize that these are guidelines, that this is really, that we're not talking about enforcement. I mean, except for the procedures that like Deborah outlined. Yeah, Deborah, go ahead.
Well, the other thing, and this is might be petty, but the name of the policy, I don't think it should be answering, it should be response.
Responding to correspondence?
Or no, just response to correspondence to the board. How the board is going to respond to it, not necessarily answering, because you're right. When you look at enforcement, I don't think anybody has, it's just the board that has that.
You're right. Yeah. But it would be good. I can say as a director that it would be useful, especially to a new director coming in, to have some of these issues laid out in a way to provide some guidance, because there are pitfalls. And I've found that personally. I mean, once something's out there, which is one reason I often don't answer it. Just a second, Claudia. One reason I don't answer many things is because
You're frozen.
It
give it a minute.
looks like Gordon's frozen too.
I'm just sitting still.
Don, you might want to stop your video and then come back in and see if that reboots the video. Yeah, he's re-signing on. That is one issue with this Zoom business. Although we're not getting bombed these days, which is kind of nice. We did have one meeting bomb once, which was
Really?
it was
I thought it was funny, yeah.
what was it? I mean, the guy was patting his stomach or something. It was just, yeah, it was just really stupid. I don't know what, what kind of hijinks is that?
I guess he thought he looked good, huh? Yeah.
Well, we discontinued that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I don't know what, I don't get the thrill of it. We can talk a little bit, and I'll say it again once Dawn gets back, but I think it's really important, and I keep harping on this, that it has to be, to me, it has to be in the policy. There is something in writing that says it is your fiduciary responsibility to answer emails and letters in a timely fashion. It needs to be in there. You can't just, it's not fair to our, I pay a lot of money. I pay $200 a month over $200 a month for 2 units of water, I have I have the right to get a response back. And I think that other people feel the same. Don, do you hear me? Yeah, I just think it's, the ratepayers have a right to hear back from the directors. And, because I'm in the policy and I've been involved in politics for a long time, I know how to get the answers, but I know people who are also know how to get the answers and they never get responses. And I think that it's frustrating. And I think that when a new director comes on board, they need to know this, their responsibility to respond to the public. And they aren't just representing one person. I know they're talking about districting and doing that GVAs like they do with the NCAC. But I think that, every director needs to know that they represent all of the community and that they need to respond in a timely fashion. And I agree with Deborah, that why can't you answer an email right away? Why do you have to wait for 2 days?
Just
just respond to it. Just say, I got your email,
Well, that is the most wonderful thing. I got your email, we're on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got your email. We're good, just to let people know that you recognize that somebody sent something. And I've argued with them. I said, doesn't it need to take 2 days to respond? It may be 2 days to get an answer, but not 2 days to acknowledge. Maybe the one to acknowledge, one to really respond to the question. So maybe we need to clarify that better or something.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, go ahead, Ted, and then I have something to say. Go ahead.
Look, I think we all agree that this policy is something that definitely needed to happen. There's no question about that. Now, Deborah did bring up the actual title of the policy, which actually I think she's had a pretty good point here. That the title of the policy is about response. It's not necessarily an answer, but it's definitely about a response. Because I think there's something those are two different things. A response and an answer are two different things. So, perhaps we should consider, this question of title that Deborah's brought up. I think it's actually a very astute observation. Thank you.
Before we go further, just a second, Claudia. Apologies, my router went down. But now I'm back.
I hate when that happens.
And let me suggest something to you, and then Claudia, and then you can speak, because this, we could go around and we could eventually craft something here, but it would take probably the better part of the hour. I think from what I'm hearing, I think that this could actually be productively dealt with by a subcommittee and bring it back with an actual text at the next meeting or something. I see some nods. So
you want Ted and I to go after it again? Because
I think we can have 3 of you on a committee.
Ted doesn't want to do it.
Ted shaking his head.
No, I absolutely think so, and I would love to have Deborah involved with this because but because of your experience and because you bring a different perspective to this. So I'm all for revisiting this because I'm hoping at the end of the day today we're going to submit that climate policy and then I can refocus my effort.
We want to get to that. So I hear I'm proposing that we set up a subcommittee, and I'm seeing we can do the whole thing in a form of a motion, but let's see. It looks like Ted and Deborah are possibly volunteering. Okay, we can have a third. It's okay because a quorum is 4. Okay, Claudia is shaking her head, and I don't.
You can't have 3.
How about
3 is a quorum.
Oh, 4 is a quorum.
No, because I only got 5 of us.
No, the total membership is 6. It's just that we don't have a member. You can't on a subcommittee here. Even though the chair doesn't normally vote, the fact that the chair can vote on a tie, and this is according to council now, the council says in that case, it's a 6-member committee. So a quorum would be a majority of 6, which would be 4. So 4 is a quorum. 3 is.
But we don't have 5.
No,
we have 5
but
members.
the total membership. What you can't have is a quorum on a committee. It's up to you. I mean, if you don't, I was just saying, if you want three, you can have three.
Well,
But
we can have two as well, right?
you can also have two.
I
Yeah.
think Ted and Deborah should just go for it.
Okay. Okay. So now
She needs
I mean,
to-
that's cool.
Look, we have good bones here to begin with.
Good. No, that's great.
Yes.
I'm
I
glad.
think with the input that we're getting from the board, and the discussions that we've just had between the two of us, we ought to be able to shine this up
Good.
and get her done.
Okay.
So-
Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, go ahead, Claudia.
I have my one comment about the title of this. I disagree about just calling it the correspondence because or a response to the, it needs to be answers to. You somehow that title needs to have both, response and answers to questions. Be that the answer they want or they don't want. You can't just say that we're just going to say, oh yeah, we got your notice, and then you leave, you throw it in the trash. So that needs to be in there. So please think about that when you're putting this together.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. That's input to the subcommittee. So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to entertain a motion to establish the subcommittee with Member Key and Member Scott as members. I see Ted is, go ahead.
I
You so moved?
make the motion.
I
And-
second.
And Deborah seconds. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to create a subcommittee to continue working on the policy 1040.2. There's nothing, do you want to include in the motion any kind of a time frame, or let's just say establish the subcommittee and let you guys decide?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the motion is to establish the subcommittee to review and modify as needed policy 1040.2 prior to its resubmission to the board after it goes to the policy committee again. Okay, and that the members shall be Ted Key and Deborah Scott. So any further debate? I should call public comment on this item before we go any farther, though. So is there is there any commentary from the public? Going once, going twice. Okay, no comments from the public in attendance. Osama, do we have any letters on this particular item? Okay, thank you. All right. Yes, Ted.
Look, we're not going to have this ready for the December 30th meeting, I think. That's pretty quick.
Well, let's just leave it up to you guys.
Yeah, and we'll get back to you, but my suggestion, Deborah, is that we could probably have something together for the meeting following that one in
Sure.
January.
Sure.
That would be something that the new chair would be able to probably move on
Yeah.
pretty quickly and put a little done it there on there.
Yeah.
On your list.
So let me give you guys.
We need to get this baby done.
Okay.
I'm all for haste in scrubbing this thing up, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I think we all know that that the board or council or what from staff will have input on any of these policies that we're proposing, and that's good as long as these things don't get stonewalled. And unfortunately, this one's been bandied about for quite a while. So I just Deborah and I will work on this with all due haste, I'm pretty sure.
Excellent, excellent. Let me give you a couple of pieces of information for your. One is I do encourage you to watch the section of the board meeting, the November 18th board meeting, starting at 2 minutes 50. I don't know, what is it? 2 hours, 50 minutes and 3 seconds in. So you might want to jot that down. That's where they discuss this item. It's a very short discussion, but what I want to take just a second, Deborah. But what I want to point out is two things. The one is, as far as I could tell, the board is receptive to the policy. So I don't think they're going to turn around and try to stonewall you on it. I think they are receptive. And the other thing is the comments were actually extremely pointed and right to a particular point. So it bespoke to me that they had been doing some careful consideration. And so I think you'll find it helpful for two reasons then, to get what their points are, but also that attitude that they're approaching this with, which I think is rather encouraging, actually. And as I say, as a board member, this kind of guidance would be really apprecited.
What was that time again? 2:23?
2:53, so 2 hours.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
11,
actually it's 51 minutes, 2 hours, 51 minutes and 40 seconds.
51. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was on the, I was listening to the board meeting, so I heard of those comments, which is one of the reasons I suggested what I suggested.
oh, good, excellent. And the other thing is, let me offer to you, if you want to Zoom and you don't have a license, I do have one and I can set it up for you. Start the meeting and then I can leave. So if you do want to Zoom and you don't have a license to do that, I can help you out on that one.
I think we can do it on the phone, don't you?
Okay, it's up to you guys.
All right, as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to come over and we could sit on the patio and hammer it out too.
Okay.
Okay, so that's very good. So we've got that one done now. So thank you. We're looking forward and wherever I am on this, I'll be looking forward to the output and see how that comes forward. Okay, next item.
Don,
Yes. Yes.
we have to vote on that. You made a motion.
Oh, you're right. We didn't vote. Thank you. Sorry. So we called for public comment, but we didn't vote. Okay, so the vote is the motion to create a subcommittee of two consisting of Ted Key and Deborah Scott to review and modify policy 1040.2, taking into account the discussions that have been had so far. Again, I'll need to do a roll call on this. So Ted, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ted votes aye. Deborah, your vote?
Aye.
Deborah votes aye. Claudia?
Aye.
Okay, and Gordon?
Aye.
Okay, Claudia votes aye. Gordon votes aye. Motion passes 4-0, unanimous. Very good, folks. Good job. Okay, the next one is the, okay, this is going to be the evacuation drill, and we want to, I'm watching the time here, so we'll get to a certain point, and wherever we are, we'll need to then stop that discussion and move to the climate policy, because I could see how either one of these could actually take up the balance of the meeting. So let's start with this is going to be discussion and consideration of a request to the board to authorize the policy committee to pursue an annual evacuation drill policy. And before I turn this over to Gordon, now you guys did vote to move this to the board at the last meeting. However, when I listened to it, as I was doing up the minutes and re-listening to the meeting, I felt that it was still in a state where I wasn't sure the board was going to be, I didn't feel the board was going to be receptive, and I didn't want to have your efforts just be stonewalled. So I felt it would be better to bring it back to you for a little further discussion and consideration before taking it forward. How much you want to do on this is up to you. So I just wanted to indicate as to why. There's a good friend. There's our other committee member there.
Sit down.
He probably thinks you're talking to him. What I want to say. Oh, so Gordon, I think you actually had some material that you wanted to share as well. So I'll let you kind of conduct the discussion, but I will be watching the time. So when we get in let's go for about 15 minutes on this topic and then decide where we are and where we want to leave it and then move forward from there, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, Gordon, take it away.
Well, as you noted before, we had a brief discussion on this. And previous to that, we had a video that we shown. That's when Claudia had to go real quick. So we're running out of time for maintaining the quorum. So it was about a 2-minute. And this was prior to their September 25th, 2021 actual exercise in doing this. This is for Marin County, and they have a population of about 6,000 people. I don't know if you're familiar with Marin County, city of or whatever. It is a hilly area with trees, narrow roads, winding roads, and getting out is very similar to Cambria's concerns in the different residencies. So after that, they did come out with a report afterwards of what they accomplished on September 25th. But so I've sent 3 items to each of the board members here to show some information. And I wanted to start with basically is that Cambria has a fire evacuation plan. But if you read their fire evacuation plan, it doesn't really say much. It just says, get out when we tell you.
Okay, Gordon, can I stop you for just a moment? So that, because we need to make it available to any public as well. So shall I share my screen on this?
Oh, that'd be good. I just
Okay,
share
I'm gonna-
mine.
or you could share yours, which is your preference.
Well,
Osana will have to allow you to share, I think.
well, I don't have a button. If you can
Okay.
share it, that's fine.
I can share it. So hang on a minute while I get that. So that's the brochure, right? The evacuation
Mhm.
brochure. Okay. Okay. Let me.
I'm just going to have that up there for a minute.
Okay. Give me a minute, guys. Here, let me get that. And then,
While you're doing that, I think that, I don't know. I don't know much about evacuation and fire and what the proper thing to do is other than get down low, but it says to put a dry cloth over your mouth. And I said, a dry cloth? I always thought it was supposed to be a wet cloth. And so
No, we're in a different category, Claudia.
that's in this brochure.
okay.
I'm talking about evacuation,
Oh,
So
yeah.
at the-
You
not
care about
staying
people-
yourself. This is
Okay.
a procedure.
Okay,
You hopefully know this other stuff already.
okay,
The intent is, how are you going to get out of town?
okay.
That's the question.
Well, the brochure says you're supposed to lay down on your floor, and close all your windows. So,
It's hard to drive in that condition, though. That's what I'm trying to relate to you here, Claudia. This is getting out of town, not staying. You have a choice, correct?
Okay,
You can
yeah,
stay and hunker down and let the fire go over you, et cetera, what they're suggesting. Or the other option is you can leave town instead of being like a paradise and burn up. See, there's different choices that I'm trying to offer here. And the one here that they have provided is it says evacuate early under evacuation procedures. And that's all it says, basically. And if you're stuck in your car, stay in your car and get burned to death. So other than that, that's really not very detailed of how this is going to be accomplished. That was my point of bringing the brochure up. Does
okay.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to relate here. If you look on the website, we don't have very much to, work from. Evacuating procedures, this says evacuate early. In Red Cross centers, et cetera, or wherever. But it's not very much details of how to go about where you think you're going to be going. And then it's your suggestion says if you become trapped, then you stay in your home, you get in your car, or you go on foot. So those are the 3 options that they're offering. And what I'm suggesting is that we want to be active in providing. This relates to section 23. 2300 emergency preparedness in our policy handbook.
Oh.
Because that was the only question that was brought up last time, is that this wasn't our business to get into. And so whoever called in, I mentioned this to them, that this is section 2300. And there it is, emergency preparedness, and that's a policy. So we should have some responsibility that affects our community of how to proceed on that basis. And that's what the other one somewhat shows is if you take that one down and bring up the next.
Which is it, the Cambria fire risk one?
Correct.
a serious fire risk has existed in Cambria for many years. That is that
Right, yep.
okay? Hold on a minute. I'll share that.
And that's just basically a summary of why it's sort of important and what we're trying to work with. And that this is taken out of 3 areas of interest. The first one was written some time ago by a committee that says that Cambria is a highly desirable place to live, to contribute to this risk, meaning people want to live here. Cambria pines are emblematic of the area, yet the recent high mortality among these trees. This drought enables fires to spread rapidly. Cambria's remote location indicates it's a serene heaven, but the remoteness also rapid fire response is more difficult. And while the narrow, winding roads in many areas create inviting, warm neighbors, that same street make evacuation and emergency response vehicles access harder and at times impossible. That's the part I'm talking about. We're trying to cover here. And so what has been done thus far is that the Cambria Fire Department has partnered with this FSCLO in Cal Poly. That's the only thing I've heard of now from the fire department area. And this is something we got a grant for from the policy from called Zone Heaven, or Haven rather, an evacuation management platform that will enable communities to plan, train, and execute evacuations expediently. That's what I'm talking about here. And these are studies by this professor, Uoso, of Cal Poly, and he's been given a grant, and he's done one process already, which was a couple months ago, 3 months ago or better. And his conclusion was, to get out of my house and to the road will take me 4 hours. And that's all he said. And I said, well, that's wonderful. And I'm saying, well, unless we get out on the road and see this, he may be full of something, because when you get 2 cars ran together, you're going to spend a lot of time on snarling and trying to find out how you should go A to B, even though it's written in plain letters on a sign someplace. And that's what he has been presenting. And they're working with San Luis Obispo County to identify narrow roadways with limited access. And they have identified a number of existing streets that will need to be improved, expanded, or marked with limited parking access to ensure the safe passage of emergency vehicles. This assessment is in progress. I have seen no progress on this. And here we have gone through another fire season with the potential for another one, depending upon how much rain we're going to get. If you scroll down a little one more time there, Don. And then the last, keep going.
That's all that's on there. Is this one down here at the bottom?
Well, there's one more. Go to the next page.
That's the only page I got. Let me go back and.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I guess I didn't print that.
Oh, okay.
I'll just read this one off of
Okay.
mine.
Okay.
It's an ad hoc fire committee meeting has not resumed. This was from a previous meeting many years ago. After the recent election in November 2020, the makeup of the CCSD board of directors changed, and new members have not yet been assigned to the ad hoc fire committee. So we are not even addressing this from the board of directors at this time by people involved. The last time, I think it was Dave, gee, I think his last name, Director Dave
Oh, Dave Pearson. Yeah.
Pearson, and he had one other person with him. Can't sure if it was Amanda or someone else in that committee. No, it was Cindy, I think.
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy. And I kept tracking with them to see what they were doing, and they told me that the fire chief was handling it. And then finally they said, well, they weren't doing anything. It was all up to the fire chief. Talked to the fire chief, and he says there's information he's been gathering, putting together, and then this came up with this grant to move forward. And so then on the third attachment, you can bring that up.
Sure. Hold on a second. Let me there. Stop the share. Go to, this is the Mill Valley.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is what this is leading up to. We in my opinion, I'm at high risk where I'm living, not to mention others in the remote mountainous areas, narrow roads. And what they did is,
Just a minute, trying to get it here. This is it. Here it is. There we are. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gordon.
okay, this is the one at Mill Valley evacuation drill information. This is one I mentioned to you earlier, September 25th, 2021, just this past month or so. They actually did another one. They've been doing this for, I think, 10 plus years. I can't remember now exactly the time. And what they try to do is fine tune it every year. And so what they do is they get 250 residents to participate in this evacuation process by actually getting their cars put out. I think it's like 9:30 in the morning, and the timing is supposed to be about an hour or so for this drill to take place. And so what they're doing is getting these people together to actually see how the cars are physically moved out of one area and where the bad intersections are, the roads that aren't sufficient to handle the traffic are related. If you want to scroll down a little bit. So it's good. I have to go back up a little bit. Went past my there. Okay, how quickly we can move back up cars in the canyons, hillsides, and down the flatter and safer areas of town. And then running the drill and timing how long it took to clear the roadways will provide public safety evacuation planners a better understanding of their network problems, intersections, and ways to improve overall community impacts during real-time evacuations. Can you scroll down? Keep going, keep going. Okay. That we are gathering feedback from participants so that we can gain insights from people's experience during the drill. The data will be key to plan for potential future evacuations. Can you scroll down? Keep going. This is what, look right there for a second. Now, this is the part that gets tricky, because obviously the policy committee is not going to be out there directing traffic and whatever on our spare time. So what they have is partner agencies. And these are the things I'm trying to highlight. So they involve Mill Valley Middle School. Obviously, that's a place to park vehicles. The Methodist Church, the Preparedness Commission, the Emergency Response Team, CERT. They're definitely a high priority. Fire Safe, which we have that organization. Southern Martin Fire Protection District, keep going. And Sheriff's Office, neighborhood response groups, Tiburon Police Department, and Sausalito Police Department. And then they're having coverage of the media by TV and an article along with radio participation with CBS, ABC, and Fox 2. So this is a whole major event. This is not going out and say, I want to walk the road and see if I can get out or not. Scroll down some more.
Sorry, let me bring it back. Thought you were done. Hang on.
No, sorry. It's just, this next one's just tripping through the picture.
Oh, right. Yeah, hang on. There's this. Oh, yeah. Okay,
So just,
there we go. So now just the pictures, right?
right. So that's what we're showing is what they're doing. So this is directing traffic, keep going. It's just a quickie here. They're planning out the procedures. You see the police force involved or sheriffs, keep going. And you see cars lined up. This is important. Fortunately, they're only on one side of the road, so they don't stop up the whole city, obviously. And that's another direction of it. Keep going. There's the CERT people that are involved. They had 18 members participate, which they need practice. If we don't get them out on the streets to practice this, they're going to sit there and wonder, well, what should I be doing? So keep going. So they help direct and help pursue or get information to the drivers. Keep going. Then you have the drone. They'll also help picture how the traffic's doing from above. Keep going. Now they have information tents that they can put together to get together with all the organizations. Keep going. And then you have the enforcement people involved. I think he's the mayor there to direct this. So you go with the local authorities. This is milling around with the total groups of activities. Then he's blocking off roads, directing there how it's supposed to go. Again, planning what they did and what they are learning from this. And again, now they're doing some follow-up work there. I think
That's
we're almost done.
That's the last one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's an overview of what I'm looking at for me to feel happy about living in Cambria with this tremendous opportunity of a fire coming and drought seasons still existing in our area. So that's the plan that I'm trying to propose to the board to get approval of them doing an ad hoc committee and or an organization to be leaders of this group and follow our policy. Because when we write a policy, if you look at our sample policy, 2300, they have emergency preparedness 2300.3 is what they call it category. And what they're saying is they're going to need to establish an emergency preparedness program. So that's what our policy should be stating. It says more than that, but I'm suggesting that this needs for us to look at and see how we want to move forward. He might want to, the board may want to make the fire department still the main focus of the group, which I don't think is done a lot personally. They do a lot of talking, but I have yet to see anything come from any meetings that it's going to help me move forward on getting out of my driveway and down the road with 150 other cars or 200 cars or whatever is going to be coming out at the one time. So that's what I'm proposing.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. I need to say a couple things just before you start, Ted. I would point out, just as a matter of, I think may have kind of escaped attention, is that the board does have an ad hoc committee on fire evacuation routes, and it consists of Karen Dean and Tom Gray, and was constituted when we, as part of our strategic plan work. And their last meeting was on the 4th of, at least as I'm reading now from the November 18th board minutes, reporting that ad hoc committee met on November 4th. So I just want to get clarity here that this board ad hoc, consisting of Tom Gray and Karen Dean, is working with Dave Pearson and the Fire Safe Focus Group. So this is an ongoing activity of the board at the present time. We also have some important public comments. So let me, and I do want that public comment to be heard before we have too much discussion. So unless you just have a question or a point for clarification, if you could hold your comments until we get the public comment, is that all right? Okay, thank you. So let's start with Michael Calderwood in the audience there. So Osana, could you bring Michael in, please?
Go ahead, Michael.
Hi.
Michael.
Just want to fill in a few blanks here. All of the issues that Gordon raised about coordination and public awareness, there has been multiple town hall meetings held that included CAL FIRE, San Luis Obispo Fire Safe Focus, our local Fire Safe Focus group, State Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Department, CERT, and on and on and on, every related agency, and also local people, contractors and things who help guide us through building codes and becoming a more fire safe community. The latest meeting was October 9th at the Betts Hall. If you go to slowspan.org, you can watch the video of that. It's about almost 3 hours long. This is the second of those events. The first one, which took place probably just before COVID hit, was covered extensively. I happened to bring the KSBY reporter to that meeting, and it was broadcast on the public. All this information is easily reachable and viewable through the Cambria Fire Safe Focus Group meeting. There are plans. They are the ones who are funding Professor Nawasu out of Cal Poly. There's a plan to do another one. The simulation table that I think we watched at a recent meeting here was one of the outputs from that meeting. So as we look at what is in place today, it seems to me there's probably a bit of a communication issue if our prominent members aren't as aware of these events as some of us are. How do we help propagate that out rather than inferring that these things either don't exist or aren't in place? So there is a significant amount. It's a big issue. Tom Gray and Karen, as Don mentioned, participate in that fire safe focus. As an example, they got together and they invested in providing simple things like hundreds of traffic cones to be deployed during an evacuation. Things like that are concrete steps that have been taken, investments have been made, and focus is put on that. So I'd suggest taking a look at that meeting, and you probably go back in the archives and find the first one too. Meeting was well attended. Dave Pearson chaired it. And so good information there. Hope it helps. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Osana, I believe we have some written comment, yes?
Yes, we do, from David Pearson. And comments on evacuation drill policy. I believe our action on evacuation drills is premature. The Cambria Fire Safe Focus Group is working diligently on evacuation planning with the ad hoc committee of the CCSD board assigned to the strategic plan objective, identify potential additional evacuation routes and capabilities, supporting relevant grant applications, and report results to the CCSD board. As part of our efforts, we have been awarded a grant to have 5 more evacuation scenarios run by Cal Poly to augment the studies we had done 2 years ago. The results of these studies will have an impact on our planning for the future. Additionally, the County Fire Chiefs Association, in cooperation with the Fire Safe Council, has contracted with Zone Haven to update the county evacuation plan, and in particular, the evacuation zones in Cambria. Once this work is completed, our evacuation plan for the community will need to be updated and the communication and education effort launched to get our permanent community and the tourist industry up to speed on the new zoning and planning. When this work is completed, then an effort could be launched to engage the County Office of Emergency Services to assist the CCSD as necessary to see if evacuation drills are feasible and when and how to conduct them. Remember, evacuations might be triggered by other events besides a fire, tsunami, earthquake, or flood. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Osana.
David
Is there any other written comment?
I'll double check the board comments. No, there isn't.
Thank you. Okay. Let me bring this back to the committee. Again, I'm watching the time and I do want to get to that climate thing a little bit. So maybe I'm not sure where or how we're going to work through this one. Let me hear. I think some of you did have some commentary though, starting with Ted, I believe, and then Claudia.
Well, I obviously haven't been following this necessarily as closely as I probably should have. But I do think that the drills are something that absolutely need to take place. And my suggestion on the drills would be to do several of them and begin with the districts and evolve to the full Cambria, that there would be, individuals who would volunteer in each district to do a district only to try and refine that. But I guess if they're coming up with these scenarios, all these various scenarios, I suspect that they're thinking very carefully. Also, I hope about how you would run drills, because I think it's incredibly compelling what Gordon has presented. And Gordon, if you would email me that last document. I would love to have that. I wonder also if this isn't something that could be a part of an NCAC discussion, or just, because I'm on the traffic committee with the NCAC, and so I'd like to, definitely keep abreast of how we might do an actual traffic situation here. So that's it.
Thank you, Ted. Let's see, Claudia, I think you wanted to speak.
Well, I guess I'm feeling like the statements that the one you read and the one that Mr. Calderwood said, that you want to do all these things before you consider a policy. And I don't think that you have to wait to write a policy. And I think that if you keep it, what I've seen the Fire Safe Focus Group do was mostly cut down trees, limb up trees, make fire piles, burn fire piles, burn trees because the fire piles got the trees too hot and the trees died. There's piles on top of the Spaghetti Bowl hillside. There's 14 of them, and they want to burn those to get rid of, invasives, and which would cause those trees to catch on fire and houses and things. So that kind of focus of the focus group, to me, is not. That kind of focus to me is something that's separate, and what I think what Gordon's trying to do, tell me if I'm wrong, Gordon, what Gordon's trying to do is to create a policy that we will have drills. I don't think that, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Gordon, but there's no reason to not pursue as rapidly as possible with an evacuation policy, and all those, the intricacies of where you're going to evacuate to can be done at the same simultaneously. But I think this is imperative that we move forward with this as quickly as possible. Some of the things, yes, are trimming back bushes and things for sight lines, but people need to know where to go. We have, on Park Hill, half the houses are vacation rentals. So we have a really different kind of demographic than they might have in Mill Valley. How do you get that information out? That's important. But anyway, so that's my point.
Okay, thank
you. Forward. Do something, and I have to leave shortly, so I got,
I know, yeah. So
I'm very sorry about this, but I did ask ahead of time that we would.
No, I'm watching it
along, and
don't waste time now. So I'm watching it. I'll let you know when 11:50 happens here. I'm watching my clock. Okay. Any other comment from committee members on this one? Yeah, Gordon.
Well, as things were outlined, the movement of this action, as Claudia has mentioned, has been very slow, as they noted, and the person that called in related to something that happened 2 years ago. And here we still are not moved forward. We're still in the study stages of 4 more roads that we know have been around since Cambria has been here. And we have to study those and run a computer thing and spend big bucks. But I agree with all that. That was really good. And when I went to the at Cal Fire meeting, there were hardly anybody there in the parking lot to see this movie. It was well attended, quote unquote. He didn't say how many were there, but most of them were the emergency people in attendance. So I wasn't too impressed with that part of the program. So they're doing it together. But my point is, we're having people not involved with moving it as a policy to meet our needs. They're meeting their own needs of grants and saying, well, I'm not going to be worried about this because we haven't had a fire in 100 years. So that's what I'm trying to relate to, is we need, as Claudia says, move it forward. And it is a policy requirement that this is formed. If they're under that, they should notify people that they're having all these meetings. I was never in tune with any of this information. They keep it very well secret. So that's my point.
So what I think I'm hearing, at least part of that, is that I think perhaps Mr. Calderwood is correct in that maybe things haven't been being communicated as well as they might, if there are things that you're not aware of. Yeah, I'm sensing a disconnect between this discussion and what's going on at the board level. So I don't know what you guys want to do about this, but we do need to get to our next agenda item. So let me see just a second, Claudia. I'm going to ask, yeah, I just don't know quite where to go with this. So go ahead, Claudia. What are you going to say?
I'd like to make a motion that Gordon and I proceed in writing a policy. I think he's already got a policy working already, that and Gordon's willing to work with me. But I make a motion that we work together as a subcommittee, ad hoc committee, to create a policy. There's no reason why we can't get started on writing it. And so that's my.
Oh, okay. So it's been moved by Claudia, seconded by Gordon, to create a subcommittee consisting of Claudia and Gordon to, let's see, help me out on this one. What to do what? Subcommittee to
Write a policy on
Policy, right.
write a policy on
evacuation.
Evacuation drills.
evacuation drills. Is that,
Right.
does that state it correctly?
Emergency preparedness and evacuation. drills.
Oh, okay. Well, now that's a different one. Okay, so that's what I want to get clear about.
But
So-
for the policy, you know, what to do to
Yeah.
be prepared so you can evacuate. You
No,
can't.
I get that. I just need to know what it was you wanted. So, okay, so it's been moved and seconded that Claudia and Gordon form a subcommittee to look at, to write a policy regarding emergency preparedness and evacuation drills. Have I got that correct?
That's okay with me.
Community evacuation drills. How's that?
Right.
Emergency preparedness and community evacuation. Okay, drills.
Right.
Okay, all right. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have any debate? I see no debate. So we've already had public comment on this. So I think we will just commence forward. If there is no further debate, we can move to a vote. All right. So again, we'll do a roll call. So, so Claudia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Claudia votes aye. Gordon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Gordon votes aye. Ted, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, and Deborah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, aye. The ayes have it, 4-0. Motion passes unanimously. So we'll move right along here in the last 10 minutes or less. Let's see what we can do with the climate policy. Do I need to bring this up on the screen, or is
Yes,
everybody got it?
if you would bring up the one that I sent you, that would be
Okay.
great. Bring it up on the screen. I'm going to go through this fairly quick. I don't think Deborah has seen this, so
Right, yeah. I mean,
it's a pretty quick read, and as soon as it's up on the screen, I will talk a little bit about it. And again, the number on there. Oh no, the Don, there's another one.
there is. Oh, okay. This is the one you just sent. Is that the one you want?
Please, yeah, this one.
Okay, give me a minute more here.
Yeah.
We'll get this. We'll get it. I have to go back to my mail here. Well, let me stop the share first.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, hang in there.
Yep.
Come on, where did it go? Here it is. All right. So did you send that to my district account?
I sent it to Don.
Oh, to my personal account?
I might have. Yeah, I might have.
Cool. Okay, no problem.
I probably did. If that's what you, I did a reply. So
Oh, okay. We'll see. Here you are. Okay.
all right, if you can bring
Let me
that.
get it open here. Okay. All right. Now I'll do the share.
I got some constructive feedback from a couple of community members, which I did incorporate into the opening statement, and I think these were actually very good comments, and great.
Now let me get that out there where you guys can see it. Oops, sorry. Wait a minute. Oh, I've got a problem getting this. There we go.
The changes that were suggested are in red, and I think actually I like them, so I incorporated them. And the one part of the while you folks are reading that, one of the things that Chair Howell recommended was that we looked at what actions have already been implemented by the district. I sent an email to John, but he hasn't gotten back to me. And I don't need a big laundry list, just a few things. You know, what have you done? Well, you know, have you decided that you're not, you know, buying any more styrofoam?
Pardon me, Ted. I need to interrupt you for a minute. Claudia needs to leave the meeting, but we do still have a quorum. There's still 4 of us here. So Claudia.
I'm
Yeah,
really
yes.
sorry.
No, you're excused now. So we have a quorum without you, so we can continue.
Oh, I'm so glad. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Claudia, please take the time to read this if you'd like.
I don't have it. Could you email?
Not now, not now. I'll send it to you.
I mean, later. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm sure that the district is already doing some things, but just a handful of those would be great in terms of, you know, what kind of purchasing things are going on, or waste recycling, or electrical demands, things that the district is doing to reduce its CO2 footprint. For example, with electrical demands, you know, the district's obviously looking at how they can make their pumps more efficient at the waste treatment plant. Waste recycling, I'm not sure exactly all the things that are going on. Perhaps that's all been implemented on the office level, and perhaps also in the field level. You know, paper products. Anyway, anything. A few things just to give the idea that the district hasn't done nothing on the business of reacting to the climate situation, because I think the district is in fact sensitive to saying, for example, John has spearheaded the car charging stations. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I know that's not necessary. Some people had a lot of problems with that. Is that the CSD's responsibility? Well, okay, I'm not going to get into that. But the point is that you know, the district is thinking about these things, and isn't just sitting completely on the sidelines. But the district, again, understands its responsibility for environmental stewardship while providing water and sewer service to meet the needs of the community, residents, and guests. And I think that this opening statement is better than it was before. I haven't really changed much of anything regarding the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 parts of this policy. I guess we did put in the, you know, the encouraging personal water saving systems and essential. For example, I have purchased a flume system, and I find it actually quite compelling to be able to monitor my water use. Every time I pick up my phone, I can take a look and see where we are on the day's water use. And it, you know, I think it's an excellent product, and I think we want to continue to encourage people to be installed. It wasn't necessarily that easy for me to install, but that's my problem. Anyway, you know, those are the kinds of things that I think we want to, again, you know, to point out that the district has tried to move people towards, you know, installing monitoring equipment. And perhaps, again, you know, some of these things, maybe they're already done. Containers will be placed in all workspace for office and waste. Maybe that's already the case. Well, if it's already the case, why not make it a policy? You know, so I don't know that there's anything else that I really want to say in this policy. Why don't you skip down? Maybe Deborah, I think, is probably reading very quickly through this thing. And I did share this with a few members of the public so that they've had an opportunity to look at it and respond to me. I don't know, Michael probably hasn't had a chance to look at this, I'd be interested in his take on it as well. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say. I think this is pretty good. You fill in the few gaps that I've got up at the top, and I actually think you have something that we can submit to the board for their analysis, because this is coming back. I mean, it's going to come back. I mean, that's just the way it is, and it's fine, and it should, because we want it to reflect. Again, we serve at the pleasure of the board, but I'd really like to get this thing moving as fast as possible. I mean, there's just no question about it. The other thing that I put up there at the very top, I was at the last Coastal Commission meeting for a number of reasons, and Dr. Lester's presentation on sea rise was nothing short of hair on fire alarming. The tide lines are encroaching much faster than we had anticipated that they would, and so there's just no more time for mamby-pamby. I've been watching climate change since I was in high school. 50 years I've been watching this, and never had any idea that we would be at this point today, but we are. And so there's just no more time for mamby-pamby. Everybody's got to get on board, and I did make some suggestions at the end. The things that the board could do will cost them nothing. I do want to say something about electric vehicles. Yes, at this very moment, they are a little bit more expensive than other cars. But when you sit down and you look at the cost to own, you will find that even right now, as expensive as some of those cars are, the cost per mile is equal to, if not better than, your internal combustion engine vehicles. So it is certainly incumbent upon the district to think, do we really need to send a truck that's making 7 or 8 miles to the gallon to every single point that we're going to, if maybe what we're doing is just an inspection, or maybe, do we need a full-on vehicle every time we go anywhere? I mean, I see these vehicles driving all over the place, and man, that's just costing you guys a bloody fortune at $5 a gallon. So some real analysis on cost per mile is, I think, incumbent upon, and I'm pretty sure that Pam Duffield has more than ample ability to do that. So that's about all I got to say. I hope you guys will take a look at this, and I hope you will agree that it's time to move it forward.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to stop the share for a second here. We can always bring it back just so I can see. I think let's see if we have any. Well, do we have any committee member just questions for clarification or anything? Okay, let me go. Oh, yeah, Gordon, go ahead.
Well, I think Ted's comments are very well put there. Like he says, it might be needing fine tuning, but we have already had the board agree to dark skies. And then when we got down to the nitty gritty of putting in light bulbs, they said no. That was really an eye opener that is not very positive for the district or the board members to vote against what they were for, because they said it was going to do costly or whatever, and it was going to save them money. But anyway, it was Claudia's input. And then the electric car, we just bought a new truck for $55,000, and we went that through with no bid, basically, because they only went out to Ford for all 3 bids to the 3 different dealers. No electric car option, no used car option. So the board purposely denied that because the general manager said he had to have a car tomorrow because something got flooded because it's their fault they left it in the swamp, but in that last rain. So the board has not been very receptive to Cambria's needs for environmental improvement. So we definitely need a policy to steer them along, but if we don't get the 3-2 vote, we're going to be trying to say, well, this is not important to Cambrians. And that's my uphill battle for Ted.
Okay, any other just clarifications or questions? We'll come back for discussion in a minute. Let me go to the public first. So do we have any public comment? Michael, do you want to say anything to this? I'll give you a minute here. And so here we are, call for public comment, going once, going twice. Okay, nothing from the audience in attendance. Do we have any written comment, Osana? No written comment.
Hold on.
Okay, let me bring it back for debate, and notice that we're at our 2-hour time limit. So let me propose, do you think we can finish this in 15 minutes or less?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion to extend for 15 minutes? Okay, moved by Deborah, seconded by anybody? Well, I'll seconded by the chair. All right, moved and seconded to continue for 15 minutes. Again, I'll have to do a roll call because you won't be visible on the recording. So Deborah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Deborah votes aye. Ted, how do you vote? Ted votes aye. And Gordon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Gordon votes aye. Motion passes 3-0. Chairman not voting. Very good. Okay, so we don't have, we're now ready for further discussion, and hopefully to come out of this as sort of some kind of what do we do next issue here. So I leave it now in your guys' hands. What do you propose? Don't everybody speak at once.
Well,
All
that's
right.
the question. What do we need to do?
Well, okay. There's a
We have to
question.
get policy, right? Because that's what Ted's trying to do.
Right. Okay, Ted.
Okay, so here's my proposal. I move that the details of this policy be filled in and the policy be resubmitted to the entire board, or to the entire, not the board, but the policy committee for a final vote to submit on December 30th.
Okay, hold on, I'm writing that down.
In other words, I know Deborah hasn't had a chance to see this. It hasn't been well, it was agendized previously, but it wasn't agendized for this meeting. So,
Right.
It needs to be agendized on the next meeting. In its completeness. I'm going to have to John, I'm going to jump on you. You need to get me some of the to fill in the gap here, and it doesn't have to be extensive. Just a handful of things to add in there, just to let everybody know that what would you like to blow your horn on a little bit, John? Because I don't want the board to now. Gordon has a point. That the board has been inconsistent, and that is something that's going to have to stop. And that's why this policy, I think, is very important, because once we have this policy, the board isn't going to be able to just say, oh, we like light bulbs. Oh, no, we're not going to pay for them. Okay, so we need to put the hammer into the anvil here, and we need to do it real soon. So I'm going to ask John to just submit to me, a handful of things he'd like to blow his horn on as far as climate response. I'm going to add those to this policy, distribute it to our membership as an agendized item, and then we can move forward with, I trust approval on December 30th.
So the motion here is that the details of the policy be filled in and the policy be resubmitted to the policy committee for final vote on December 30th.
Correct.
Can I ask before I would call for a second, but before I do that, there's nothing in here about who's going to do the filling in. Okay, so so Ted is going to basically that what you're doing is you're the subcommittee, which is you.
Yeah, well, that's been me anyway, so that's fine.
so that the subcommittee fill in the details.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, that the subcommittee fill in the details and in the policy in the climate. Okay, I'll if we got it in the general essence, then I'll try to reword it here. But so basically, the subcommittee, however constituted, will continue to fill in the details on the climate policy and submit the completed policy to the policy committee for final vote on this December 30th meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that pretty much says it. Do we have a second? Okay, second by Gordon. Before we vote, well, let's vote first. Okay, so is there further debate? Okay, and did I call for public comment? I don't think I did. Is there public comment on this? I did call? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I saw everybody nodding. That was good. Okay. Do you want any help on this, Ted? Do you want to, and assist? Do you need to? Okay.
I will take care of it. I mean, I think, I've seen a lot of agreement from the membership here. And that's really all I needed was, the support from people saying, yeah, this looks good. And Deborah, I will, as soon as I get your email, I'll send you a copy of this so you have an opportunity to really go over it thoroughly. My suspicion is you're going to be, you're going to say, yeah, well, all this makes sense. So
yeah.
All right.
And it is legitimate. You can talk to each other. The only thing you can't do because of the Brown Act is you can't tell person A what person B said, but right. You can definitely talk with each other about this, but only give your own opinions. Right. Or if it's somebody else's opinion, don't tell the person you're talking to that it's somebody else's opinion.
I will tell you, I have consulted with a number of members of the public, which I know that I am chartered to be able to do.
Yes.
And I believe that I have incorporated things to their satisfaction. I'm sure they'll let me know if I didn't. But I think I've incorporated everything.
The only thing that I think that I personally would like to know is what is the office doing? Concretely, what is the office doing? And John could send us an email or somehow, or make it part of, this is what we are doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I did send John a request for that, but I imagine he has quite a few guns pointed at his head. So I'm trying to make it easy. So hopefully John will be able to get back to me with the things that he wants to blow his horn on as far as what the district is doing so far.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. 2 points. One, I was very pleased that you have consulted with the public. I encourage you to do that in all of these things. I mean, you can talk to people. That's one of the reasons why we're all here is a conduit for public opinion. If it's just those 3-minute talks at the board, those are useful, but it's better to have more. So kudos, Ted, for so please everybody remember that as you go forward. Feel free, please consult with others. So that was, and the other thing, just to let you know, there is, John's working on some internal things that have to do with the recent legislation, which in fact requires us to do certain climate friendly things. And you might want to, in talking, try to, if you can get a moment to engage John, try to find out what the requirements of that particular legislation are. I think that would be useful for all of you.
I hope he's picking up on this. I don't know if he's
if
actually.
Not, well, we'll see.
I don't know if he's actually there.
There he is. There he is. Hi, John. Okay.
Hello, John.
Very good. So you're not being unheard. So that's great.
Okay, good.
I think did we vote? I haven't voted yet. Okay.
We got to have a second.
Oh, yeah, you seconded it already, didn't you?
I'm not sure. You said you wanted to back up and do something, so.
Oh, okay, well, let's try. I'll read it again and just make sure everybody agrees with what it was. So the motion is that the subcommittee, which parenthesis is Ted, continue to fill in the details of the climate policy and submit it to the policy committee for final vote on December 30th.
Right.
Describe it. I think we got that. Okay, so now are we ready? Is there any further debate? Are you ready for the question? Okay, so let's see. Ted, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ted votes aye. Gordon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Gordon votes aye. Deborah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Deborah votes aye. Motion passes unanimously, 3-0, chairman not voting. Thank you, everybody. We actually finished when we got 5 minutes to spare. So do you guys want to take any parting shots at me?
No, but hey,
Future agenda items?
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, future agenda. Yes, yes.
oh, that's future. Well, we got one of them.
Oh, yeah. I saw Deborah hand and then Gordon.
And I don't know if this is a good place to ask, but when is the office going to open?
You mean physically open up?
Yeah.
John, can you offer anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're moving towards a potential model where we never have to open the office because there's really no reason for anybody to come here anymore. We've got payments online. We've got enhanced online capabilities with forms. So, and we're currently, down personnel here in the office. So, and still implementing Tyler Encode. So the more I'm working this, the more I'm thinking we don't need to open to the public any longer. If someone has a legitimate reason why they think we should open, I'm all ears. We do still service people here in person once in a while, but generally those are people that want to try to pay with cash, things like that, and we obviously don't want people dropping cash in the boxes outside because we can't confirm how much cash they leave.
Right. Okay, well,
So my only statement is about perception. And not too many months ago, I paid $600 to CCSD. I have done all kinds of things to make that not happen again. But I think what you have to look at is what is the public perception of your being closed with the amount of money that people pay, just for thought.
Yeah, so if we had to open again, I might consider adding an extra person.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Deborah. So that's an open.
But I appreciate the comment.
Yeah, it's good to get these. Yeah. So any other future agendas? Gordon, I think you had something. Did I see your hand go up there? Yes, Gordon.
Well, as in our my minutes for the last meeting stated, we went through all those things that were highlighted, do or have been done, and to do. I think 3 categories to some degree.
Oh, right.
And I don't know if that's something you're looking at as someone taking a priority from the board of directors as a basis for doing anything. But the one thing that was mentioned in the minutes is they wanted to take out section 3000, which deals with personnel, specifically with harassment and whistleblowing. And that's what I disagreed with. And I'd like to put that forward as a item to be discussed, whether they care or not, it's personal activity or involved with the unions is what we wound up suggesting.
So
whatever you want to do.
Well, wait, it's a huge area, so I'm trying to get, so are you specifically concerned about the whistleblowing and what was the other one that you just gave? I forget.
Harassment.
Harassment, are those specific that
Yes.
you're concerned about? Not
They're
the
included, that's, it's in the policy.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say in terms of what you are wishing to bring forward to the committee, are you interested in just those aspects, or are you wishing to review the whole universe of personnel policy? I
No.
can tell from what you were saying.
No, that's all I've ever brought up since the first day we had a meeting. Those two have
Okay.
never been addressed, and everybody doesn't seem to think it's very important because there's something existing or whatever, but we don't have an updated policy for those two items.
All right, so that's her harassment,
Whistleblowing.
whistleblowing. Let me make a couple of just observations here. We're and then I think we need to probably stop.
That's fine. That's why I
yeah.
brought it up.
No, here's the deal on the personnel. What we can do is the MOUs establish.
Right. You went through this last time. Don, you went through this last time. I don't need it again. I'm asking you to bring it up. And if it takes to go to MOUs, those can be rewritten. And I mentioned that we could get a copy of all the union dues or orders and regulations, but nobody sent me a copy yet to reinforce that that's what they want to do. That's my point. I want to move it forward.
No, I'm not trying to argue with you on this, just trying to point out that it can be a useful discussion, but when and how such a thing, the MOUs establish we can't do less than what the MOUs say. It's possible we can do more. I'm not sure. I'm not averse to the discussion,
That's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
Is a discussion to see what it looks like to move it forward.
If you want to review the MOUs yourself as you go forward to prepare for this, those are public record. Just call the office and ask for copies.
Okay.
You may need, I don't know whether you'll have to go in or whether you can get them, but those are public records. And so it's not like anybody's keeping them from anybody.
Okay.
The other issue though, the thing that is not governed by the MOU is the management. The management employees are not governed by the MOU. So those actually could be more directly affected by any kind of change toward policy. Yes, John, and then we need to stop here in a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to correct one item. The MCE employees are guided by the MOUs because the board has adopted those to apply also to the MCE group.
I got you. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Management and confidential employees.
Got it. Okay, so the MOUs do in fact describe all of the policies relative to our employees, I think. Now, Gordon did make a very good point, though, is that as you go into future negotiations with the labor unions, to have a position where it might be useful to, if there is some dissatisfaction with the existing MOUs, then the next time there is a negotiation, then that could, of course, be brought up. So it's not out of the realm, completely out of the realm of the policy committee or the board, but it's just to remember that. Anyway, Gordon, I did make a note specifically on those two items, so I'll include those in the minutes for this last meeting. Any other? We're beyond our time limit here, so I'm going to need to. So do you have any additional things where we need to? Okay. I hate to let you all go. It's so nice to have a conversation. Yeah, Asana, were you going to say something?
No, it was me. I just want to let you know that, and this is not a part of the policy committee, but you and I are friends with Clark, and they just signed their $2.1 million contract for their tertiary zero liquid discharge system down in Piru. So they're on their way with that. And that is something that our district is going to need to pay close attention to.
Well, you keep us informed on that one, Ted, because yeah, it's kind of exciting on that. Okay, well, I need to let you go here. I'm having too good a time, so I think I'll need to let you go. Thank you very much for your attendance, and I may or may not see you on the 30th.
Well, thanks for your help and support.
Well, thank you all for your support.
I move we end this meeting.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Moved, seconded. Okay. All in favor, raise their hands.
Bye.
Okay. We're good. Okay.